Hi everyone, this is Naren Siswa and welcome to Udan. Let's understand these questions. These questions are very important for your exam. I think these questions may ask in your exam. So, question number first is consider the following statements on Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation DICGC. Statement first is DICGC is a partially owned subsidiary of RBI. Statement second is DICGC covers whole commercial and cooperative banks. Statement third is primarily cooperative societies are not insured by the DICGC. Statement 4 is DICGC does not include the deposits of central state governments. Which of the statements given above is are correct? Option A 1, 2 and 3 only. Option B 2, 3 and 4 only. Option C 3 and 4 only. Option D 1, 2 and 3. And the right answer is option B 2, 3 and 4. Let's explain this. Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation DICGC. Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation is a wholly owned subsidiary of RBI. It was established on 15th July 1978 under the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation Act 1961. The purpose of providing insurance of deposits and guaranteeing of credit facilities. Option A is in this facilities. First A, the corporation covers all commercial and cooperative banks except Meghalaya, Chandigarh, Lakshadweep and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Only primary cooperative societies are not insured by the DICGC. All banks' deposits, savings, fixed, current and recurring payable in India are covered. Insurance limit for each depositor in a bank is kept at rupees 1 lakh including both principal and interest amounts. DICGC does not include the following types of deposits. First is deposits of foreign governments. Second is deposits of central state governments. Next is interbank deposits. And last is deposits of the state land development banks with the state cooperative bank. Next is question number 2. Consider the following statements. Statement first is the final authority to abolish a legislative council or to create it lies with the President of India. Second statement is the governor can nominate any two members from the Anglo-Indian community in the legislative council. Which of the statements given above is are correct? Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2. And the right answer is option D neither 1 nor 2. Explanation of this question: the Legislative Council of the state is the upper house in bicameral legislature, the lower house being the state legislative assembly. It established is defined in Article 169 of the Constitution of India. As of 2019, before the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir and Leh, 7 out of 29 states have a state legislative council. Now 6 states have legislative council. Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana and Uttar Pradesh. Remember this is very important for this year. Recently, Andhra Pradesh Cabinet has approved the abolition of the Legislative Council. A member of Legislative Council is elected by local bodies, State Legislative Assembly, Governor, graduates and teachers form for a term of 6 years. Next is the Constitution provides for the abolition or creation of legislative councils in states under Article 169. सो 169 जो आर्टिकल है वो इस साल के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है, ध्यान से देख लेना इसे. द पार्लियामेंट कैन abolish a legislative council where it already exists or create it where it does not exist if the legislative assembly of the concerned state pass a resolution to that effect. Next is, in a legislative council, 5/6 of the total number of members of legislative council are indirectly elected and 1/6 are nominated by the governor. Next is question number 3. The ease of living index in India is developed by which of the following? Option A, Niti Aayog. Option B, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Option C, Central Statistics Office. Option D, National Sample Survey Organization. And right answer is option B, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Next explanation of this question is ease of living as a term, though widely used in urban policy and programming, has no standard definition. Mostly it is fundamentally tied to physical amenities such as water, solid waste management, park and green space. For others, it relates to cultural offering, career opportunities, economic dynamism, or safety. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs release a set of ease of living standards that combines the various facets of urban living in its current format. It seeks to serve as a common minimum framework for cities to evaluate themselves and will evolve in future rounds to better represent the needs and aspirations of the people. Next is question number 4. With reference to direct tax, sometimes seen in the news, which of the statements given below are correct? Statement first is, taxes that are imposed directly by the government on the income and wealth of an individual organization are called direct taxes. Second statement is, liability of direct taxes cannot be transferred to a third party and the payment needs to be done directly to the government. And third statement is, income tax, capital gain tax, securities transaction tax, corporate tax, sales tax are examples of direct tax. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Option A 1 only, option B 2 and 3 only, option C 1 and 2 only, option D 1, 2 and 3, and right answer is option C 1 and 2 only. What are direct taxes? Taxes that are imposed directly by the government on the income and wealth of an individual organization are called direct taxes. Liability of direct taxes cannot be transferred to a third party and the payment needs to be done directly to the government. Next is, some of the examples of direct taxes are income tax. Income tax is applicable to the income earned by an individual coming under specified tax brackets by the IT Act 1961. Every individual has to pay his income tax annually. The Act also specifies tax deductions with a specified limit. Next is capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is levied on the income received from an investment or a sale. It is of two types, namely short term less than 12 months and long term capital gains more than 12 months. Next is securities transaction tax, SST. SST is levied on the sale and purchase of securities in the Indian stock market. Next is corporate tax. Similar to income tax, corporates also pay taxes for the income earned by them. There are slabs that decide the rate of tax of companies. Next is dividend distribution tax, DDT. This tax is levied on companies that pay dividend to its investors, shareholders. The current DDT rate is 15% and is applicable to the income received by the investors from his or her investments. Next is sales tax is indirect tax levied on the sale of a product. The tax is applicable during the sale of product along with its price and is transferred to the buyer. Next is question number 5. With reference to convertibility of rupee, consider the following statements. Statement first is the term convertibility of a currency only indicates that it can be freely converted into other global currency. Second statement is the Union Budget of 1992-93 made the Indian rupee partially convertible. Which of the statements given above is are correct? Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both 1 and 2. Option D, neither 1 nor 2. And the right answer is option B, 2 only. Let's explain this. Convertibility is the ease with which a country's currency can be converted into gold or another currency in global exchange. It indicates the extent to which the regulations allow inflow and outflow of capital to and from the country. Next is convertibility of rupee. For the first time, the Union Budget 1992-93 has made the Indian rupee partially convertible. This was an inevitable move for the expeditious integration of Indian economy with that of the world in order to face the serious current account deficit in balance of payments. The government of India introduced the partially convertibility of rupee from March 1st, 1992. Next is question number 6. Which of the following is not correct about the election commissioners of India? Option A, the president appoints chief election commissioner and other 2 election commissioners. Option B, chief election commissioner and other 2 commissioners can be removed from their office in the same way as a judge of the Supreme Court. Option C, they enjoy the same status and receive salary and perks as available to judges of the Supreme Court of India. Option D, none of the above, and the right answer is option B. Let's explain this. Let's explain this. The president appoints chief election commissioner and other election commissioners. They have a fixed tenure of 6 years or up to the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. They enjoy the same status and receive salary and perks as available to judges of the Supreme Court of India. The Chief Election Commissioner cannot be removed from his post easily on account of any political reasons. This is necessary so as to preserve the independence of Election Commission. Next is Chief Election Commissioner of India can be removed from his office by the Parliament with a 2/3 majority in both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha on the grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Other election commissioners can be removed by the President of India on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. Next is removal requires Special majority of two-thirds members present and voting supported by more than 50% of the total strength of the House. Judges of High Court and Supreme Court CEC CAG may be removed from office through a motion adopted by Parliament on grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity. Next is question number 7. Consider the following statements regarding Pravasi Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Statement first is it is a training and certification of Indian workforce keen on overseas employment in select sectors and job roles. Second statement is it is a skill development initiative of the Ministry of External Affairs only. Which of the statements given above is are correct? Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2, and the right answer is option A. What do you mean by Pravasi Kaushal Vikas Yojana? Training and certification of Indian workforce keen on overseas employment in selected sectors and job roles in line with international standards to facilitate overseas employment opportunities. It is a skill initiative of the Ministry of External Affairs in partnership with the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, which will be implemented by NSDC. The short-term program of 2 weeks to 1 month will prepare the candidates holistically in taking up challenging assignments in different countries with confidence and meet transnational skill requirements. It involves training them in suitable skill sets which address the requirements in communication, trade specific knowledge and skills, along with cultural orientation. These will be in line with international standards. Next is question number 8. Consider the following statements regarding sovereign gold bond scheme. Statement first is sovereign gold bonds will be issued both on the payment of rupees and denominated in grams of gold. Second statement is bonds issued on behalf of the Government of India by the RBI only. Which of the statements given above is are correct? Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2, and the right answer is option C both 1 and 2. What do you mean by sovereign gold bond scheme? Sovereign gold bonds will be issued on payment of rupees and denominated in grams of gold. Bonds will be issued on behalf of Government of India by the RBI. Thus, the bonds will have a finance banks and payment banks, Stock Holding Corporation of India Limited, SEBI authorized trading members, designated post offices and stock exchanges. The bonds shall be denominated in units of 1 gram of gold and multiples thereof. The bond would be restricted for sale to resident Indian entities. The investment limit per fiscal year has been increased to 4 kg of individuals, 4 kg for Hindu undivided family HUF, and 20 kg for trusts and similar entities notified by the Government of India from time to time. The government will issue bonds with a rate of interest which will be calculated on the value of the gold at the time of investment. Bonds will be available both in demat and paper form. The tenure of the bond could be for minimum of 5 to 7 years. Bonds can be used as a collateral for loans. Bonds to be easily sold and traded on exchange to allow early exits अर्ली एग्जिट फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स अर्ली एग्जिट भी कर सकते हैं. Who may so desire. On maturity, the redemption will be in a rupee amount only, which would not be a fixed sum but linked to the price of gold. The deposit will not be hedged and all risk associated with gold price and currency will be borne by Government of India through the Gold Reserve Fund. Next is question number 9. Consider the following statements regarding Nyay Mitra. Statement first is reducing pendency of cases across selected districts only, with special focus on those pending for more than 10 years. Second statement is it is functionalized through a retired judicial or executive officer. Which of the statements given above are correct? Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2, and the right answer is both 1 and 2. Nyay Mitra reducing pendency of cases across selected districts with special focus on those pending for more than 10 years. Functionalized through a retired judicial or executive officers with legal experience designated as Nyay Mitra. The project would be operated out of district facilitation centers housed in CSCs. Nyay Mitra's responsibilities would include, among others, assistance to litigants who are suffering due to delay in investigations or trial by actively identifying such as cases through the National Judicial Data Grid, providing legal advice and connecting litigants to DLSA, CSC, Telelaw, other government agencies and civil society organizations. He shall also refer the marginalized applicants to Lok Adalats for dispute resolution and render assistance towards prison reforms with the district in coordination with the district judiciary and other stakeholders. Next is question number 10. Consider the following statements regarding Atal Jyoti Yojana. First statement is it is to provide solar street lighting system for public use like lighting roads and buses. Statement second is it is a sub scheme under off-grid and decentralized solar thermal application scheme of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Statement third is it will cover urban and semi-urban areas only. Which of the statements given above are correct? Option A 1 and 2 only, option B 1 and 3 only, option C 2 and 3 only, option D all of the above, and the right answer is option A 1 and 2 only. Explanation of Atal Jyoti Yojana: to provide solar street lighting system for public use like lighting roads, bus stops, etc. It states of UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Assam, hilly states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, UP. It is a sub-scheme under off-grid and decentralized solar thermal application scheme of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Services Limited is its implementing agency. It will cover rural, semi-urban and urban areas. Okay. Next is question number 11. Consider the following statements regarding Mission Antyodaya. Statement first is it addresses the multidimensionality of poverty in a time-bound manner through a convergence of resources. Statement second is it is a state-led accountability and convergence framework for rural transformation only. Which of the statements given above are correct? Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2, and the right answer is option C both 1 and 2. Mission Antyodaya address the multidimensionality of poverty in a time-bound manner through a convergence of resources, both financial and human, to provide an opportunity for transformational change. It is a state-led accountability and convergence framework for rural transformation to make a real difference based on measurable outcomes to the life of 1 crore households in 5,000 rural clusters or 50,000 gram panchayats in 1,000 days. Gram Panchayat is the basic unit for monitoring transformation and for ranking on the basis of objective criteria. So remember this also, Gram Panchayat. So students, over for the day. Hope you like this video. Share this video and subscribe our channel, and download our application from Play Store. That will also beneficial for you. Over for the day. Have a nice day. Bye bye.